What if the greatest secrets of exploration were not discovered in modern times, but hidden in ancient maps? For centuries, historians believed that early sailors barely understood the oceans. They imagined ancient navigation as crude, uncertain, and primitive, small wooden ships drifting across unknown waters, sailors guessing their way from coast to coast. But scattered across museums and archives are maps that tell a very different story. Maps so detailed, so strange, that some researchers believe they reveal knowledge humanity was never supposed to lose. These are sometimes called forbidden navigation maps, ancient charts that appear to show coastlines, islands, and routes that should have been impossible to know. One of the most famous examples appeared in 1929. In a palace library in Istanbul, scholars discovered a fragment of an extraordinary world map. It had been created in the year 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piedi Reis. Today, it is known as the Piedi Reis map. At first glance, it looked like many other early maps of the age of exploration. But when researchers studied it closely, they noticed something unsettling. The coastlines of Africa and South America were drawn with surprising accuracy. More puzzling was what appeared at the southern edge of the map. Some scholars claimed it resembled Antarctica. And here's the strange part. Antarctica was not officially discovered until 1820. That's more than 300 years later. Even more mysterious, some interpretations suggest the map may show Antarctica without its ice. If true, that would imply knowledge from a time when the continent was very different. But how could a 16th century cartographer possibly know this? According to Piedi Reis himself, the map was not based solely on his own observations. He wrote that it was compiled from many older maps. Some of them, he claimed, dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. That means the knowledge might be far older than the map itself. And the Piedi Reis map is not the only mystery. Another controversial chart surfaced in the mid-20th century, a document known as the Vinland map. This map appeared to show a land called Vinland west of Greenland. That land looked suspiciously like North America. If authentic, the map would prove that Europeans knew about America centuries before Columbus. Historians already know that Viking explorers reached North America around the year 1000. Archaeological evidence from L'Anse aux Meadows confirms their presence. But the Vinland map suggested something even bigger. It implied that knowledge of the New World may have spread across medieval Europe. That idea challenged the long-standing narrative of exploration. However, the Vinland map remains controversial. Some scientists believe it is authentic, others argue it is a modern forgery. The debate continues to this day. Yet another fascinating chart dates back to the early 1500s, the world map created by the German cartographer Martin Waldseemüller. This map is historically important for one reason above all. It was the first map to use the name America. But it also shows remarkable geographic understanding for its time. Large portions of the New World are surprisingly accurate, even though exploration was still incomplete. How were these cartographers able to draw such precise coastlines? Some researchers believe ancient navigators possessed sophisticated techniques that we underestimate today. One possibility involves celestial navigation. Sailors have long used the stars to determine their position at sea. By measuring the angle of certain stars above the horizon, navigators could estimate their latitude. This technique dates back thousands of years. Ancient Polynesian navigators used star paths to cross vast distances in the Pacific Ocean. Arab sailors developed complex navigation methods using astronomical instruments. And Mediterranean mariners relied on detailed sailing charts known as port-o-land maps. These charts were incredibly accurate for coastal navigation. They displayed harbors, currents, and compass directions with remarkable precision. But some scholars believe the story may go even deeper. There is evidence that ancient civilizations understood ocean currents and wind patterns far better than we once believed. Consider the trade winds of the Atlantic. These predictable wind systems allow ships to travel efficiently between continents. European explorers of the Age of Discovery used them extensively. But what if earlier sailors had already mapped these wind routes? What if they had quietly crossed oceans long before recorded history acknowledged it? Some alternative historians suggest that lost civilizations may have developed advanced maritime knowledge. They point to mysterious similarities in ancient myths, stories of great voyages, legends of distant lands beyond the horizon, and maps that seem too accurate for their time. Mainstream historians remain cautious. Many mysteries can be explained by gradual improvements in navigation, exploration, and map-making. Cartographers often combined multiple sources, explorers' reports, earlier charts, oral traditions, even educated guesses, but sometimes the pieces don't quite fit, and that uncertainty fuels fascination. Because maps are more than tools, they are snapshots of human knowledge. Each line on a map represents someone who traveled, someone who observed, someone who recorded what they saw. When we find a map that seems ahead of its time, it raises an intriguing possibility. Perhaps the world was explored far earlier than we think. Perhaps knowledge traveled across generations and later was forgotten. History is filled with examples of lost knowledge, libraries burned, empires collapsed, records vanished. When that happens, entire chapters of human discovery can disappear. But occasionally, clues survive, hidden in fragile parchment, locked in ancient archives, waiting to be rediscovered. Forbidden navigation maps may not prove that ancient sailors knew everything about the world, but they remind us of something important. Human curiosity has always pushed the boundaries of the known, across deserts, across mountains, and across vast oceans. Long before satellites and GPS, long before modern ships, courageous navigators stared at the horizon and wondered what lay beyond it. And sometimes, they came back with maps that still challenge history today.